Hi, I'm Vun4k, and we're going to be covering Filipino stick fighting today in this tape. We have different varieties of sticks, and the main concept I want you to remember is, regardless of what this stick looks like, the size, the diameter, the weight, you're going to use it the same way. These principles are interchangeable with all weapons. Most sticks we like to keep about 1 fist length for the butt of the weapon. That way we have a weapon on both ends of the stick. Regardless of weight, this baseball bat's heavier obviously, you can still treat it the same way. If the stick is a little bit lighter, same thing. The motions are slightly different with the weight of the stick. Everything with the stick is interchangeable with the blade. This is the first thing you have to understand. All of the motions are interchangeable, regardless if it's a blade, a stick, or empty hands. Let me start off with giving you the basic way of how we're going to hold the stick. Now, you don't want to hold it in the middle. You don't have any leverage that way, so you want to get more toward one end. Some people like to go all the way down to the end of the stick. I prefer about 1 fist length. That way you can use the end as a butt also. You can use this as a weapon. Some people like 2 fists. Okay? This is a personal preference. There's stances, there's footwork, there's angulation. The stances, generally speaking, are not static. They're not a stance where you're down low and waiting here. It's not something where you're looking for a power base. You want to be up on your toes. I want you to think of yourself like a sports person, like a basketball player, where you can move, you do your jump shot, running back. They don't have time to stop and see what lead is forward. See, I want you to move around in long range. I want you to think of yourself like a boxer, where you're continually sticking and moving. You have to keep moving in this range. But when you break in to close quarter range, this is when you can use your hand. You can use your checking hand. You can get down a little bit lower in that particular range. I want to discuss a little bit about ranges with you. There's actually 6 ranges in the Filipino martial arts, but I'm going to break it down into 3 and make it a little bit easier. Okay, Mark? Okay, extend your stick. This is the first range. This is the longest range we have. We call this Largo Mano range. Largo Mano range is that his stick cannot hit my head, but my stick can hit his hand. We don't do any blocking in the Filipino martial arts. If we say an inside sweep or an outside deflection, it's always a hand smash. So in Largo Mano range, if he were to hit me, I smack the hand. This is going to disarm the stick, and this is our block. So in actuality, this would be on the hand. This is Largo Mano range. Now when I break in about 1 foot, we call this Sombrado range. What constitutes Sombrado range is that his stick can now hit my head. So therefore, if I go to smack his hand and miss, the stick is going to continue to hit my head. So I need to put in a checking hand. When he gives the number 1, this is my checking hand. I still smack the hand, but I've got to back up now. As soon as he fires this on, I've got this checking hand. The checking hand is very important in this range, Sombrado range. I can't reach with the butt of the stick, though. So therefore, we have a 3rd range. We break into what we call hubad. This is hubad range. This is the butt of the stick. Everything flies in this range. You have your headbutt, you have your knees, you have your elbow, you have the butt of the stick. So this range here is close quarter range, would be equivalent to trapping range. So our 3 ranges, once again, are Largo Mano, where his stick cannot hit my head, but I can hit his hand. Sombrado, where I can check now because his stick can hit my head. And hubad range, which is the butt of the stick. These are the 3 ranges I want you to stress right now. Now I'd like to elaborate a little bit about the footwork of the Filipino martial arts. Everything is predicated around triangles. The reason for a triangle is when somebody is wheeling a stick at you at 120 miles an hour, you've got to get to what we call 0 pressure. Now what is 0 pressure? 0 pressure is, let's say if a person starts out right here, an untrained fighter, he just cocks the stick back here. He starts out with his motion, it starts at, let's say, 10%. It goes 20, 30, 40, all the way up to 100. This is your most dangerous position. This is where you don't want to be. From here, we go back 90, 80, 70, back to 0 pressure. So you have 0 at the beginning of the strike and you have 0 at the end of the strike. The triangles enable you to get to that position a lot easier. Now, from this position, if an opponent comes in at me straight, I can angle at these different directions. Now, there are more triangles than these, but these are just some basic triangles that we want to help you with. When he comes straight in, if I zone to this position, this is the first triangle, so that would be this line right here, this angle. I can go out here, or I can come out this way. The second angle of attack, he comes in, I could zone at a 90. That would be right here. Or I could zone out at this side. So now we're using this person coming in and I'm zoning this way. Now, and then we have the rear triangle where you can zone out this way. And I want you to remember the purpose of the triangles, and that is to get you to zero pressure, to get you away from the force of the attack. This is very important. Now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to use this without a weapon and just work the footwork by yourself at home. Just work the basic footwork. Okay? You're coming to all your different angles. Pretty soon you're not going to have to use this tape, but in the beginning it'll serve as a good training aid for you. Alright, now what I'd like you to do is grab a stick and follow along with me. We're going to cover the 5 basic angles of attack. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a numbering system that you can use. That way when you're training you're not going to say, okay, hit me like this. What you'll do is you'll just say, give me an angle 2, and you know what's happening. Other than that, there's no other reason to name these angles. One other thing is you've got a million different numbering systems. This particular numbering system I'm going to keep very simple. We're going to keep it down to 5 angles. Okay, I want you to grab your stick. You have 1 fist length for the butt. Stand in a normal position. Step forward and hit with a diagonal down. This is what we call an angle number 1. Keep your hand on your chest, keep it out of the way, and it's easy to check from here. Okay? And now I would like you to step out with your left foot and hit with an angle 2. So we have an angle 1, and we have an angle 2. Okay, now we got the angle 3, which is you're stepping out with your right foot. Keep your hand on your chest. This is a horizontal blow. The first 2 were diagonal. Now your angle 4 is a horizontal backhand. I'm saying step out with your left, but you don't have to. You can step out with your right. Later on, you're going to change it. When you're sparring, you're not going to know where you are. This is just for training. Okay, now we have one more angle, and this is an angle 5. This is straight ahead. This is an angle 5. Okay, let's go through them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now I want you to see the 5 angles that I just shown you in normal speed. It says 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now you have different varieties of hits. You have what we call a tick, which comes back, and a lob tick, which goes through. Later on, we're going to show you fakes with a stick and different ways to move. Right now, I want to keep it very simple. Let's stay with our 5 numbers. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we apply these angles 1 through 5 on a body. Now, I'm just going to take an unarmed person and bring him in. Okay, Mark. Now, we have the angle 1. The angle 1 can be right across at the temple, the tip of the stick. We always want to hit with about the last 4 inches of the stick. This is the angle 2, the other side of the temple. It can obviously be the jaw, it can be the shoulder. Any part on the body is going to work. These are real nice targets of the temple. We have angle 3, which is on the elbow. This is the elbow. Angle 3. If the hands are up, we can take the hip. Doesn't matter. Now you say, well, what if I move up to the rib? Is that going to work? Yeah, that'll work too. Okay? The one thing you have to understand with a stick is anything works. Anywhere you hit them, anything's going to hurt. Okay? Then we have the angle 5. The angle 5 is straight ahead. Anywhere you want to go with it. If his hands are up, I can take an angle 1 straight to the hand. If he had a stick in his hand, I could use it just to disarm the stick. So you've got your basic positions on the body where you can hit. These are your primary targets. Just remember this, though. Everything works with a stick. Any target is applicable. Now that we've covered our basic footwork, our basic angulation, the triangle, different positions, we've got the basic 1 through 5 strikes, we covered the different ranges. What I'd like to do is I'm going to give you some drills to do in each one of these ranges. We're going to start out slow, and we're going to work our way up. First range we're going to cover is largo mono range. Remember, largo mono range, he can hit the hand, but he cannot hit the head. So they're outside of range of each other's head. Now, these drills are all for basic coordination. These are drills to develop coordination. Think of a football player running the tires. You would never run tires in a game. It's for coordination. So keep this in mind. Okay, let's bring you guys in. Now, we're going to take this 3 angles. Remember, you've got a lob tick, which follows through with the strike. And we have a watick, which comes back. So what we're going to do is we're going to be integrating these 3 hits. Okay, start in. Give me number 1. Okay, number 1. Stop. Okay, now pull through. Now, low backhand. This is the watick. Back it up. And high backhand. Good. Again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And of course, we're going to add footwork to this drill. So what I would like you to do is look at this one more time slow, and then we're going to go normal speed. Ready? Slowly. Go. Again. Okay, work your way into normal speed. Ready? And go. All right, now, the reason for the drumming is in traditional Filipino martial arts, the training method, they use the kunga. What you do is when you're hearing that beat, you're hearing an accent, your body is moving to the accent of the drum. It gets you to be a little bit more alive. You don't have that static footwork. Okay, so if you have any sort of percussion, you want to play Santana or whatever in the background, it's going to help. We crank up the music when we train. It's up to you. You do whatever you feel best. Now we're going to take you through another largo mano drill, and this is very similar to the last one, except we're going to go with a high backhand this time, a low backhand, and a high backhand. So they're the Witik strikes, all three this time. Okay, get in position, nice and slow. High backhand, lock it out, retract it, low backhand, retract it, and high backhand, and go back. Okay, normal cadence, but nice and slow. Ready? Go. 1, 2, 3. Again. 1, 2, 3. Okay, with footwork on the kunga. Ready? And begin. All right, very good. Our third and final drill is going to be a high inward, a low, and a high. Okay, ready? Start it off slow. High, and a low inward, and a high backhand. Again, high, low inward, and a high backhand. All right, on your own speed. Ready? And